Our next presenter is presenting from far, far away in India, connecting with us via Zoom. Sayan Lodh is currently pursuing a PhD in history from Presidency University in Kolkata, India. His thesis will be on the Judaizing movements in India, in other words, the emergence of new Jews among the primarily Christian population of northeastern and southern India. His primary area of interest lies in Indo-Judaic studies, the Jewish studies in a wider context, besides anti-Semitism and mass violence studies with a focus on South Asia. His master's dissertation was on a Baghdadi Jewish community in Calcutta. A few of his articles have been published in the English edition of Haaretz, Israel's oldest newspaper. Sayan Lodh.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible? Let me just share my... Is my screen visible now? Hello?
Yeah, it's visible.
So my topic is, firstly, I would like to thank SLCC for inviting me to be a part of this conference. My topic is the worship of Jewish tombs by non-Jews in India. It may sound strange. Is the change in slide visible now? Just confirmation. Can you see the map of India on the right side of the slide? Excuse me, can somebody please confirm if the map is visible? Okay,
we can see the slides.
Okay, just thank you for the apologies for this. Okay, very few, firstly with the introduction, very few Indians are aware about Jews and Judaism in general, as there are very few in India. According to the 2011 census, there were just about 5,000 out of 1.2 billion people. And the information about Jews in absence from academic discourse at nearly all levels of education in India. There have been three historical Jewish communities in India: the Bene Israel of western regions of Gujarat and Maharashtra, these areas, and the Kochinis of Kerala in southern India, located around the city of Kochi, and the Baghdadi Jews of Kolkata in eastern India and Mumbai in western India. The Baghdadis were the most anglicized among the three communities, and the Bene Israel were the most Indianized. There have been three instances. During my research for my undergraduate dissertation, I came across the rare instance of the worship of a Jewish tomb in Kolkata by non-Jews. On further research, I found about two more tombs, one in Delhi and one in Kochi. The three regions are separate by lots of miles. The Kolkata is located at the easternmost parts of India, while Delhi is in the north and Kochi is in the south, as you can see in this map. Okay, first about the Kolkata grave. It is an unknown Jewish cemetery because it was a private cemetery that was known as the Jewish burial ground number 59, located in the Kakurgaching neighborhood of Kolkata. It is unknown to the local Baghdadi Jews, who are very few in number, about 20, and the caretakers of the Narkeldanga Baghdadi Jewish cemetery. There is an interesting story behind this cemetery. Dalia Ray, who is a scholar on Kolkata Jewry, has remarked that the Jewish woman who eloped with her Bengali paramour, who was probably Hindu, and after she died, she was denied a resting place in the Narkeldanga cemetery. So her Bengali husband bought a piece of land nearby and buried her there. Later, a few more burials took place at the cemetery, taking the total to about 7 graves, 5 belonging to adults and 2 to minor children. The tombs are currently cleaned and regularly repainted by members of the Dash family who occupy the area in the cemetery. Here is the epitaph of the prime grave, which belongs to Geula or Jala, who was the daughter of Nisim Isaac Abraham. She died on 24th October 1870 and was buried the next day. There is a word of Mehramet, which is a Hebrew transliteration of Arabic Marhum, which means may his or her soul be bound in the bonds of eternal life. This cemetery later passed into the hands of the descendants of Galagabe, whose family left for United States after 1947, and they currently reside in San Francisco. Das family sent soil samples for the construction of a memorial there. These are the few images of the graves over there. Later, a few more burials took place. This is the courtyard of the family. You can see the few graves, and here is the old signboard of the cemetery that has been currently hidden by a electronic installation box. These all graves belong to children. And the local Hindus, they worship the tomb in pure Hindu style with marigold flower and incense sticks. As you can see, there is a holy basil or tulsi plant which is sacred to the Hindus in the vicinity, and the wall has been erected on three sides of the main grave, separating the sacred from the profane. This tomb is being worshipped by the Das family as their family deity, who claim that it protects them from evil and even grants them wishes. Now coming towards the second tomb. The second tomb belongs to a Jewish Sufi saint of Armenian descent. His name is Said Sarmad Kashani. He hailed from the town of Kashan in Iran, and over there he was born to an Armenian Jewish merchant family in 1590s, and at a young age he became an expert of Torah, Gospel, Kabbalah, and Sufism. Kabbalah is the Jewish mysticism and Sufism is its Islamic counterpart. Regarding his religious views, in many sources he has been mentioned as a Jewish. He was born a Jewish. Some sources claim that he later converted to Islam, and yet others claim that after his conversion to Islam, he declared his faith in Hindu gods. But the sources by contemporary travelers, such as those of Italian traveler Niccolo Manucci, state that he was an atheist. Keeping all this aside, he was equally critical of all organizations of his time, be it Judaism, Islam, Christianity, or Hinduism, and he shared some heretical views like Shaitan or Devil or Satan. He claimed that he was the greatest and the most devoted of God's servant, and others should learn devotion from him. He arrived in India in 1630s, landing in the port town of Thatta in Sindh near modern-day Karachi in Pakistan. There, he fell in love with a young Sindhi Hindu boy named Abhay Chand, and on hearing about their stories, Abhay Chand's father separated the couple, and due to the pain of separation, Sarmad gave up his clothes and roamed naked for the rest of his life, and according to some accounts, he even didn't shave his hair or trim his nails. Ultimately, he was united with his lover Abhay Chand, and the couple traveled through Lahore, Deccan, Agra, and finally settling at Delhi. While in Deccan, he contributed a chapter to Dabistani Mazahib, or the Encyclopedia of Religions. The chapter was on Judaism, named the Yehuds. While in Delhi, he was initiated into Sufism by his guru Khwaja Harebare, and near whose hospice he settled. Darashiko was the eldest son of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. He was known for his eclectic views, much like Mughal Emperor Akbar, his predecessor. Darashiko regarded Sarmad as his master and preceptor. In this image, you can see Sarmad with Darashiko over on the right side. And in the Mughal War of Succession of 1650s, eclectic Darashiko lost out to his bigoted younger brother Aurangzeb. And after that, Aurangzeb tried to punish Sarmad, and there was an interesting anecdote regarding an interaction between Aurangzeb and the naked Sarmad near the Jama Masjid. According to the story, Sarmad was lying naked, and when Aurangzeb was passing by, he just felt disgusted and Sarmad and asked him to cover himself. There was a shawl lying nearby, and Sarmad asked Aurangzeb to take it himself and cover Sarmad. While taking up the shawl, Aurangzeb saw the severed heads of his three brothers, whom he murdered to actually get the throne, and became horrified. And there is a legend that he never uttered the kalima of the Islamic declaration of faith fully, as he was still immersed in the negative world and yet to achieve spiritual possibility by discovering God. He used to stop after La ilaha and never entered the last word or illallah. He was charged by Aurangzeb on 3 counts: moral obscenity, political reason, and religious reason. He was finally beheaded in 1660 and 61. On the right side, you can see an image. This is a much later image after 1900s of Sarmad with his dead head. There is a legend that after his beheading, Sarmad actually carried his head in his hands till the steps of the Jama Masjid, muttering curses to Aurangzeb and engaging in a destructive dance, which was pretty much similar to a Hindu legend that is of Lord Shiva engaging in a destructive Tandava dance, which is Consul's dead body to destroy the world. In both in the Sarmad's case, his guru, Sufis Khwaja Harebare's voice restrained him, and he finally was laid to rest beside his guru, and his tomb was erected there. The fiery red color of his tomb on the right side commemorates his love, both divine and worldly, and his martyrdom. He is worshipped primarily by Muslims and a few Hindus, with candles and incense sticks like other Sufi saints of India, and red yellow threads are tied on the railing of his dargah for fulfillment of vows, and devotional Qawwali songs are sung in the evenings. Sarmad's shrine's red color contrasts brilliantly with the green color of his spiritual master Khwaja Harebare, and the Quranic verse on his tomb's exterior sums up his eccentric and rebellious life. And call not those who are slain in the way of Allah dead. Nay, they are living, only ye perceive not. And coming towards the third case of worship of a Jewish tomb, it belonged to a list of Yemenite descent, whose full name was Nehemiah ben Abraham Motta. The surname Motta is derived from the Malayalam word Muttan, which means old wise man, and his name Nehemiah was even localized to Namia by the local Malayali Jews. He was a Jewish Kabbalist who arrived in Kochi in late 16th century to teach the locals about Jewish law halakha, and he also was fleeing Islamic persecution in Yemen. His date anniversary, or Chouda, is celebrated by the local Jews and the few descendants of Kochinis who are left in Cochin, and many of their descendants in Israel on the first day of Hanukkah, which normally coincides with the month of December, with much fanfare, whereby special prayers such as Hashkaba and Kaddish, and even special food are given, like 21 types of food. He, in his contemporary times, critiqued the European Hasidic movements and even her contemporary Paradisi Jews through his songs, which have been included in the Shingli Masajor or the prayer book of Cochins. There are many legends relating to Nehemiah Motta. One of them is that he used to fly to the synagogue to be in time for Sabbath. The second is that his tomb remains very cold even in the hot summers of Kerala. And third is that death awaits anyone who desecrates or damages his tombs. There have been many miracles of Nehemiah, such as curing the sterility of women, solving family, professional, and education-related problems, recovering stolen items, and even providing safe passage to the passengers. People light candles and volunteer to paint the tomb on fulfillment of the vows. Hence, it is well maintained. Nehemiah's tomb was left alone during the demolition drive by the Labour government as a part of the land reform programs in Kerala in the 1950s. The remaining ones were destroyed to build houses for others. It is the only surviving Malabari Jewish grave of the Eswal cemetery. And there are many accounts why it was left alone. The main reason being that it was left alone as he was a multi-religious patron saint. That is, his grave is worshipped by the few Jews who are left in Kerala, in addition to the local Christians, Muslims, and Hindus. Nathan Katz compared his grave to that of a Grammar Devata, or deity worship across religious lines in the villages in India. There are many Grammar Devatas across the millions of villages in India. And the earliest Hebrew reference to his tomb is in Chaim Jacob Hafpoen Feinstein's Milhavot in 1874, while the earliest English reference is in Jewish encyclopedia that calls Nehemiah the false or pseudo Messiah. This may have been due to the reason that earlier there was a problem in the Kochini Jewish community among the Paradisi Jews and the Malabari Jews. The Paradisi Jews were the original settlers, and the Malabari descended from the 25 slaves of one of the original settlers. And so the Paradisi used to look down upon the Malabari Jews and even denied them entry into their own synagogues and cemetery as late as till the 1920s and 30s, when there was a civil disobedience movement led by one person who was nicknamed Jewish Gandhi for that. And as Nehemiah being called false Messiah was due to that most of the respondents who came to Cochin at that time mostly interacted with the Paradisi Jews, as they were the most dominant and they didn't listen to the version of the Malabari Jews. This was corrected by South African Chief Rabbi Louis Rabinowitz, who nullified the claims of Nehemiah being a false Messiah during his visit to Cochin in the 1950s. He remarked, his grave is a Mecca for not only for Jews, but for Hindus and Christians as well. Over here, you can see the grave of Nehemiah Motta, which has been recently painted. It is painted most of the time after the wishes of the people are fulfilled. In conclusion, I would like to state that worship of Jewish tombs by non-Jews stems from the nature of worship, which is prevalent among the Hindus and other indigenous tribals, and also seen among other worldwide religions worldwide, which are based on nature. All three of the persons were rebellious in a sense, as they went against the established socio-cultural norms of that times. Geula married a Bengali by going outside the community. For that, she was denied a resting place at her community cemetery. For Sarmad, the worldly love was beyond gender, as he loved a boy Avachan. Then divine love was beyond established religious norms to the extent of being heretical. And for Nehemiah, he protested against the dominance of European Chassidic Jews and the Paradisi Jews through his poems. Another interesting thing to observe that while Sarmad's shrine became the place of worship in 17th century when he died after his death, when the tomb was constructed, but in case of Geula and Nehemiah's tombs, they only became sacred spaces in the later half of the 20th century. These tombs constitute an important part of India's Jewish heritage and need to be protected for the future generations to showcase the plural, inclusive, and syncretistic nature of India, which nurtured different religious communities since antiquity. While it may seem strange for people in other countries for seeing the Jewish tombs being worshipped by non-Jews, but it is not at all strange in India. At most of the Jewish synagogues and the cemetery and the schools, they are run by non-Jews, including mostly the caretakers and the teachers in the Jewish schools are Muslims, and even the one of the few persons who has the skill to engrave the Hebrew tombs in the cemeteries, he is a Muslim. So I would like to end my presentation there. Thank you.
Hi, my question is actually for Sam, I believe. I was curious because I'm surprised to hear that there was, even just in a small minutia, a Jewish community within India. When did we first start seeing Jewish people first immigrating to the Indian subcontinent? And were some of your, I apologize, the second one, some of the sanctified individuals that you spoke about, did they come, I'm assuming that they came post World War II in terms of when after India had stopped being a British colony, or was it before?
Okay, regarding the three historical communities, the oldest among them are the Bene Israel. According to their own legend, they are coming to India about 2000 years earlier, but the oldest documentary evidence that we have of Bene Israel in India is 18th century later. And the second community, the Kochinis, their documentary evidence actually dates much older, at least 1,000 years. Inscription of 953 CE of local Chera king granting a land grant to a Jewish Kochini merchant for setting up a factory in Kranganur. And according to their legends also, they claim that they came 2000 years prior during the destruction of the first temple or second temple. I'm not sure about the temple that was destroyed in the 500 BC, in that range, that one. And the community regarding whom I researched, the Baghdadi Jewish community, they are the most recent to come in India. They started coming in 1790s and the migration continued up till about 1945, till the end of World War II. And the reasons were mainly the persecution under the Ottoman governor of Iraq, Daud Pasha. And other than that, there were other Jewish communities. There were merchants. There were not that much community. There was a pretty much big merchant in India. Actually, formed the central point of the Indian Ocean trade. So many merchants used to come to India, other than Muslims, Arabs, and there were also Jews who came, Armenians and Greeks who had at that time. Even a few Chinese also used to come through the Indonesia route. And in ancient times, they used to come through the Silk Route, the Huansang and Fagian. There were many Chinese travelers and the Jewish also at that time. I hope that answers your question. Thank you for your question.
Sayan, do you happen to know
Yes.
what kind of Muslims worship at Sarmad's tomb? Are we talking about a particular Sufi order, just local Muslims, Deobandis, Barelvis? What are we talking about?
I am not sure about that, as I haven't got
curious.
access to primary sources regarding Sarmad, but I think maybe there were maybe Sufis and Sunnis primarily, because most of the Muslims in India are Sunnis. So that's just a guess for me. I'm not sure.
Thank you. No, thank you. All right, another round of applause for our presenters this morning. We really appreciate it. It is 10:29, so in 11 minutes, our keynote session will begin. So we'll take about a 10-minute break here, and we'll see you in 10 minutes. Thank you.